Talk about a day at the office. The Wrightsville Beach Coast Guard is about to take us out on one of their daily patrols where they say anything can happen. If you wanted to bowl with Nick Carter, you may have missed your chance, but if you still feel strongly about the cause, you can always donate at rockersunited.org. From Hollywood, I'm Perry Elyaderani, ABC 7 Eyewitness News. To test Squire's claim, we're going to see how long it takes an average student, me, to get onto the dark web, starting now. After some Google searching and account creation, I was there. And stop. Just over 20 minutes, and I was in a position to buy fentanyl in bulk. Despite all the drilling and the filing, Patriot is feeling better. I know because I heard it straight from the horse's mouth. In Sarasota County, I'm Perry Elyaderani, SNN, the Suncoast News Network.
North Carolina is especially important in the national sphere. We already talked about the electoral votes. I mean, 15, that's not a small count. But also adding on to that, it's a swing state, so both parties are going to be fighting over it. What's really important, though, as we were discussing a little bit earlier, is that Supreme Court justice vote.
As a non-citizen myself, it's scary to not know what's next for me, what's next for my family, what's next for so many of my friends and my peers and my loved ones.
Fifth-year student Derek Winton died last September from an overdose with Xanax, cocaine, and a unique kind of fentanyl in his system. ENN obtained records that showed no one else in the state of North Carolina has overdosed from this type of fentanyl, and the drug's only overdose records available online say it came from a foreign source. Computer science professor Megan Squire says the drug's unusual dealer might be on the dark web.
You can buy pretty much anything, driver's licenses and identities and terrible things that no one should ever see.
You need special software to access dark web marketplaces. No problem, Squire says.
Establishing trust and then figuring out how to actually pay for it. That's probably the part that takes the longest, but it's not that hard to do. To test Squire's claim, we're going to see how long it takes an average student, me, to get onto the dark web, starting now. After some Google searching and account creation, I was there. And stop. Just over 20 minutes, and I was in a position to buy fentanyl in bulk, along with a host of knockoff drugs, a big risk, according to medicinal chemistry professor Victoria Moore.
It could last in your body longer, and so it could take longer to metabolize, which means its effects would be longer. Or it could have stronger certain effects than the original compound.
But Squire believes the user reviews and discreet delivery still entices buyers.
One of the many scary parts about this is that how much of a sense of security, a false sense of security, people are lulled into.
Eventually, Squire says these sites get taken down by federal investigators, but not faster than they pop up.
It takes time to do that kind of infiltrating. It takes time to build massive data sets and comb through them. It takes time. For
now, Squire says all she can do is help educate the next generation of computer experts who might someday shut down these sites and save lives. Perry Elyaderani, Elon Local News. Why does this horse have a long face? It might have something to do with his dentist appointment coming up. It's been a year since Patriot had his last checkup, and his veterinarian, Dr. John Bivens, says horses can have a lot to worry about.
I have to be honest, some of them I have felt so sorry for because I open their mouth and I look in there and say, this has been going on for a long time. This horse has been miserable for up years.
Horse teeth grow in a delicate balance between their upper and lower jaw. If that balance is upset, it can hurt. In this picture's case, the tongue was split open. In another,
it got to the point when this horse would chew, the lower tooth was going up into his skull.
Bivens hopes that's not the case here. After calming Patriot with a sedative and giving him a slightly bigger mouthwash than we're used to, Bivens found some problems.
This lower tooth here was a little too tall, and this top tooth was a little too short.
Bivens says that's not bad for a horse checkup. After some work with dental tools the size of your arm, the procedure is over and any tooth pain gone.
It's an immediate relief for the horse, and it makes me feel like I've really helped them.
Patriot's friends are happy to be gentle with him as the sedative fades. And like any dentist with a good patient, Bivens is proud.
Yeah, he has very nice teeth. He does.
Despite all the drilling and the filing, Patriot is feeling better. I know because I heard it straight from the horse's mouth. In Sarasota County, I'm Perry Elyaderani, SNN, the Suncoast News Network.
Oops, come on.
Meet Wilbur, one of the many dogs sheltered here at Cleveland's Animal Protective League. Like many of his friends, Wilbur was rescued from an abusive household, where Cleveland's APL suspects he was kicked by his owner, suffering permanent damage to his ribs and causing him to walk with a limp. A crime now in most states, but not one that could be tracked on a national level. In a time where there seems to be data on everything, Sharon Harvey, president of Cleveland's APL and Wilbur's owner, says there's no national record for animal abuse cases.
It's been a critical missing piece in the reporting of significant crime in this country to exclude crimes against animals.
That was until today. Ohio Voters for Companion Animals sent out a press release this morning saying that the FBI will now include animal abuse more prominently in its uniform crime report. This means that abuse-related crimes will now be nationally tracked by police. Harvey says this is a big deal.
What we know and what the FBI has acknowledged is that often violence against animals predicts violence against people, predicts domestic violence. So this is giving us more information in our toolbox, not only to protect animals, but also to protect people.
The FBI will also begin to recognize animal abuse as a Group A offense, the same category as arson, assault, and homicide. While this association doesn't translate into criminal charges, Harvey says it's the idea that counts.
By an agency like the FBI to have recognition of the importance of these crimes and punishing the offenders and potentially being able to do something more to prevent them is just, it was a pretty good day to hear that passed.
And a good day for dogs like Wilbur, who will benefit from more precise aid from organizations like Cleveland's APL in the near future. Perry Elyaderani, Cleveland 19. As a personal trainer who spends his entire week in the gym, David Green might be seen as one of the healthiest 50-year-olds you'll meet. But after coming back from a cruise with his wife in Mexico last year, he felt something in his stomach and doubled over in pain.
It became so bad I had to go to the hospital, I had to go to the emergency room. They did a CT scan on me and said, we have to do emergency exploratory surgery. You've got a perforated colon, and we got to go in and find the hole and repair it.
Green had diverticulitis, a painful condition where infected or inflamed pockets form in your colon and can cause severe damage. Like many Americans, Green had been dealing with some stomach pain for years, but he dismissed it as normal.
I couldn't have imagined that it would turn into something so severe. You know, what I thought was just a regular stomach ache a couple of times a month literally became life-threatening.
Green says he thinks a lot of other people dealing with stomach pain might be dealing with the same issue and are running a risk every day it goes undiagnosed.
If I'd have known it sooner, I could have received medication, I could have changed my diet, I could have changed some of my habits to prevent my colon from rupturing like it did.
So what can you do to make sure that you're staying safe? Green says it may be as simple as just paying attention to what you're putting in your shopping basket.
My doctor told me after my surgery, he said, David, too much red meat and too much Red Bull. I would have never thought that Red Bull was bad for me.
But by making some diet changes, he says he's feeling much better these days and continues to do the same for others. In Sarasota, I'm Perry Elyaderani, SNN, the Suncoast News Network. When Doc Worland arrived in Sarasota with his wife Eloise, they had high hopes, but it wasn't meant to be.
We came here to be part of the community, and unfortunately Eloise died so quickly of cancer that she really couldn't fulfill all of her ambitions. And I've tried to take up where she left off.
Eager to honor his late wife, Worland got to work.
She asked me if we could dedicate a bench in her memory. And I felt that this was such a wonderful person that we could do far beyond a bench.
That's when Worland contacted the city manager and found this park under the traffic of Ringling Bridge. After getting the bench he promised his wife, he hired landscapers, remodeled the bathrooms, and built more benches. Investments costing hundreds of thousands of dollars. But for Worland, imagining his late wife's reaction makes it all worth it.
I think Eloise would have the biggest smile on her face that you can imagine. She'd be so happy.
She had a big soft heart for kids in public spaces and in family environments, and that is exactly what has happened here. And I'm sure she's smiling broadly wherever she is.
The park, now Eloise Worland Park, gives Warland and his kids some closure.
Of course, we would love Eloise to be alive. That would be our first priority. But I believe that when we leave this park, we have memorialized a wonderful person.